Hi everyone. So as part of the December season and thinking about the holidays coming up, I thought I'd do a list of books that can help you during this season. If you choose any of these books, then like and subscribe to my page, and I'll give you a list of questions that you can use for your journal in relation to these books. Okay, so the first one is Set Boundaries, Find Peace, A Guide to Reclaiming Yourself by Nedra Tawwab. So the idea is boundaries are essential for maintaining your mental well-being, especially during stressful time in the holidays. This book explores actionable steps to help you set up and maintain healthy limits with family, friends, and even yourself. So if there's one book to get, maybe it's that one. How this helps during the holidays: learn to say no without guilt. When you're overwhelmed with commitments, set time limits for your family gatherings and tricky conversations. So I covered a bit of that in my section on burnout, and also set time with friends and other activities that you've got coming up. Navigate gift giving expectations with clarity and fairness, often a challenge. So, a quick tip for you is ask yourself what boundaries would help you feel calmer in this season. Write down one and practice it. Sometimes for people who are new to boundaries or becoming more assertive can really struggle with that. Okay, the second book is the little book of what looks like Hygge to me, but it's Hygge, and that's The Danish Secrets to Happy Living by Meik, Wiking. Apologies if I'm pronouncing these names wrongly. Okay, so it's about creating cozy, joyful moments. Think of warm blankets, soft lighting, meaningful connections, exactly what we all need during the holiday season. And I certainly know that that's a feeling you can get in your camper van. A lot of people who are in their camper van have the stoves, the warm, the warm fires, and making soups and sit in their vans while it's raining, but it can be really lovely experience. So, how this book helps in the holidays? Well, it shifts the focus from big, stressful gatherings to small, heartwarming traditions. So, it's about getting together with a group of people who really matter, who you enjoy spending a hot chocolate with. Create the Hygge corner in your home and relax after a busy day. Use candles, hot drinks, and simple rituals to bring in more comfort. So, a quick tip for you would be set up a ritual this week, light a candle, grab a hot drink, and spend 10 minutes journaling about what to be grateful for. Something to be mindful of, though, I read an article about being mindful of buying scented candles because some of them can actually come with some health issues. So number three is Calm Christmas and Happy New Year by Beth Kempton. So the idea is that you can redefine your holidays and make them less about stress and more about meaningful moments. This book helps you craft your ideal Christmas by focusing on what brings you joy and letting go of unnecessary pressures. So what made one of my Christmases ideal? Me and the kids, when they were little, like a lot of people, have watched Home Alone ever since its very first showing, I think. And we used to watch that every year. And of course, a lot of that is set in New York. And we had a chance to go, I think it was 2008. We flew to New York and had Christmas and New Year there. And it was brilliant. And there was so much about New York that I loved that surprised me. And I really wanted to spend more time exploring. But it was actually really cold as well, way colder than I expected. But we spent Christmas Day with pizza, chocolates, sweets, presents, and then, of course, went out the day after Christmas to the shopping centres. We stayed in the financial district just across the river from New York and spent a lot of time shopping and looking at trainers. How that book helps during the holidays is reflect on the season of what it personally means to you. Prioritize the traditions that are important and the activities that align with your values. And sometimes those traditions can be, who does the turkey, who creates the apple pie, or as in our family, we made trifle for years. and the type of characters that come and who you're looking forward to. So if you can focus on those things, that can help elicit some really nice feelings of joy, peace, and relaxation. A lot of people, I also know as well, are choosing to spend time on their own at Christmas and are actually looking forward to sitting down with their favourite meal and a box of chocolates and watching some of the old movies. And of course, on the cable channels, or the Sky and the Virgin TV, we've got loads of Christmas movies on the Christmas channels. I certainly like watching a lot of those, even though some of them are really quite typical, and you kind of know what the ending's going to be. So simplify your holiday to-do list by cutting out anything that feels like an obligation. So that's one of the other recommendations. Now, for your journal, write 3 words that describe your ideal holiday season of peaceful, joyful, or simple, and use them to guide your choices this month. So if peace and simple is the key, then think about how you can simplify the gift process, whether or not you're going to buy a tree. I actually bought a tree that I could plant outside one year, and it was really nice because I don't like the idea of cutting down trees and then throwing them away. And then you use that to guide your choices. Book number 4, don't sweat the small stuff. And it's all small stuff, according to Richard Carlson. His key idea is it reminds us to let go of perfectionism and focus on what truly matters. Carlson's short, easy to read advice is perfect for handling holiday stress and minor annoyances. How it helps during the holidays? It helps shift your mindset, and we all need a bit of that. When things don't go as planned, that can be a real tricky one for perfectionists, like burnt dinners or delayed travel. I think I did on one year attempt to make a vegetarian dish, and it was fairly disgusting, even if I admit it myself. Practice gratitude when dealing with frustrating relatives. Yes, that's a challenge. Or even just visualize they've all got Minnie Mouse heads, and that may change the energy around that. That's a much longer piece of work, actually, that comes from NLP when I was studying that. Let go of unnecessary holiday rules. Well, that can be a challenge because lots of us like tradition and we want things to be exactly the same year in, year out. But of course, when people come together, their families are sometimes from different cultures, different groups. So we have to find that middle ground of blending those different practices together. So, like perfectly wrapped presents, I have to admit I find present wrapping fairly tedious. If it's more than maybe 5, I've probably got a low tolerance for wrapping paper and sellotape because yes, I just do. Quick tips for viewers and readers. Something stressful happens, take a deep breath and ask, will this matter a week from now? Book number 5, radical acceptance. That's a concept we're not hearing that much of, but that means embracing your life with the heart of Buddha by Tawwab. So the key idea is acceptance is not just about giving up, but finding peace in the present moment. Tawwab combines mindfulness and compassion to help readers approach challenges with a calm heart. Well, there is a challenge, even for those of us that practice yoga, mindfulness, meditation, and live the hippy dippy life to some degree. And that's me. Acceptance, okay, is about also just finding that peace and surrender. And also on a deeper level, if you're not well, you've got anxiety, depression, you've got lots of things going on, you've really got to find a simple way of being able to just feel okay with the decisions that you make. How this helps during the holidays is it helps you stay grounded during uncomfortable family dynamics. Depends how uncomfortable. If you've got a parent who's a narcissist, or there's aggression and violence in the family, that's a dynamic that really is going to be more than a challenge, and one that maybe you need to consider whether you're going to be a part of. I have had some clients that I've worked with. They've got a parent that falls quite high on the narcissism spectrum, although I do put a flag up there to say it's very difficult to diagnose, and none of us should be doing home diagnoses, and even clinicians with many years of experience also have to really be mindful, because there's many crossovers in different clinical labels that we use these days. However, someone can have signs of that, so it's working out how long you can stay there, how to avoid certain behaviours, how to manage interacting with people in the family that you find difficult. Quick tip: what would it look like to respond to this situation with compassion for myself and others? Possibly a stretch, I'm imagining, past experiences that I've had, but it can be done. I've had some clients that have actually turned things around and have been really happy with, it's not perfect, but it's a lot better than previous experiences. Book number 6, Joyful, The Surprising Power of Ordinary Things to Create Extraordinary Happiness. I like that. Create Extraordinary Happiness by Ingrid Lee. The key idea is our environment has a profound effect on our mood, and this book explores how small, joyful changes like adding colour or nature to your space can lift your spirits. That's certainly true, actually. You know, if you go into some of those modern houses with the spaces and texture, and they've got waterfalls and lakes and, you know, all those beautiful things, can really make a difference to how you feel. Anyone who spends time at the coast or hiking in the mountains, if you've got plants in your house and you've got certain smells, it can really activate really good feelings. So this gets us to consider how we decorate intentionally with colours and textures that bring happiness and small cheerful touches to your home or your travel setup. So I've actually got lights in my van that sparkle at different rates depending on the setting I put it on. Recognise how little details like twinkling lights create magic. Quick tip: choose one small area and make it more joyful. So that might be your front door, it might be your living room, it might be the lights. Have a cozy blanket or a favourite decoration. So that's the tips for now. And if you want access to any journaling tips, for example, setting boundaries, I'll give you an example. The prompts for your journal, when you're sitting down, you've got at least an hour to yourself and you can start to think about these things in more detail. Boundaries. What is one boundary I need to set this season to protect my energy? So I talked about energy in the video that I did on exhaustion, chronic fatigue. How will setting this boundary improve my relationship and overall well-being? Well, sometimes we set a boundary and actually the other person can get annoyed or stressed, or they don't like that idea. So that makes you question how people respond to our boundaries, needs to be explored in more depth. What are my fears around setting boundaries and how can I address them? And when someone crosses a boundary, how can I respond calmly but firmly? So, for example, I was working with a client a while ago who was early on in dating. And one of the key things that comes up when people are on dating websites is how they communicate. And you can communicate online, and then you may pass phone numbers or what, some form of messaging. And the frequency and type of texting and messaging can really come into the focus. So you can have somebody who works all day, doesn't really pick up their phone, and then responds to their messages in the evening. Or you can have somebody that, is always on their phone and waiting for messages from various people. So the time in which people take to respond to messages and the ways that we help people understand how we operate in our day-to-day life, and if we're getting to know somebody, sometimes we need to be more explicit about those things so that they don't misconstrue sort of everyday behaviours that you just take for granted because you're just used to being you and living in the way that you do. So that's just something to think about. And that can happen with friends. Friends can get upset because Either you're always texting them, or you never text them, or you don't check in with them, or they've been ill and you don't work, check out how they've been getting on. So that's one issue around boundaries and communication, and it comes up a lot in relationships, especially early dating. And especially if there's a lot of activity early on and then it gets longer and longer, in which the time period is in which someone contacts you. So we know in early dating that can be an early sign of someone ghosting you, they've lost interest, or something's come up and there is a crisis. So you need to consider what you know about that person, and also just check in, with them. Hey, I've noticed that you've not been texting as much. Is everything okay with the family at home? And then, rather than that going into a more into a place of getting upset and aggravated about it, and then winding yourself up, which is a Mancunian term, I think. Okay, so I have got other tips and journal prompts to go with those books. If you buy any of those books, I can send you a list of those tips if you like and subscribe and put a comment on the page, on this page, and then I can contact you, get your email address, and send that to you. Okay, so hope you've enjoyed this information about these books. I'll be doing more over the course of December, top tips and tricks to not just survive, but thrive during the holiday season.